So, what is the standard of perfection? Let's go to Psalms, the 19th division. Psalms 19 says, the law, in verse 7 says, the law of the Lord is perfect, converting the soul. The testimony of the Lord is sure, making wise the simple. And again, in order to be perfect, you must have a standard of perfection. That standard of perfection is none other than his law. So he's telling us to walk in perfection. Let's see something else. Let's go to John chapter 8. John chapter 8. And let's see if he's telling us so that we can sin. This is John chapter 8 and verse 10. Now this is when a woman is caught in adultery. She's caught in the very act of adultery. They bring her to Yehoshua, and they say, the law says, stonest her. What sayest thou? He ignores them for a time, and as they press him further, he says, he who was without sin, let him cast the first stone. Now, it wasn't that the law didn't say she should be stoned. She was worthy of being stoned. The problem was unrighteous judgment. How can these people, who are sinners themselves, carry out an execution? This is the problem with capital punishment in the world today. Not that the murderer doesn't deserve to die, but rather, how can a liar punish somebody who is a thief? How can a murderer punish somebody who is an adulterer? This is the problem. But so now they were convicted in their very conscience, and they dropped their stones. And let's see what Yehoshua said to the woman. Verse 10 reads, when Jesus had lifted up himself and saw none but the woman, he said unto her, woman, where are those thine accusers? Hath no man condemned thee? She said, no man, Lord. And Jesus said unto her, neither do I condemn thee. Go and sin no more. He didn't tell her that I don't condemn you. He didn't tell her, it's all right, I'm going to die for you anyway. He told her, do not sin again. Let's continue with this notion. Let's go to John, the 5th chapter. John, the 5th chapter, he says a similar thing. A similar warning is given about sin. Now, this is when he healed the man that was at the pool of Bethesda. And we'll pick it up in John, the 5th chapter. And I want us to pay attention to what Christ told the man. This is John 5 and verse 12. Then asked they him, what man is that which said unto thee, take up thy bed and walk? And he that was healed wist not who it was, for Jesus had conveyed himself away, a multitude being in that place. Afterward Jesus findeth him in the temple, and said unto him, behold, thou art made whole, sin no more. Pay attention to what he says next. Lest a worse thing come unto thee. What could be worse than having an infirmity for 38 years, being cast into the lake of fire? Let's read that. Mark the 9th chapter. See, he's not teaching us that we can do away with the law. Rather, he is teaching us that we must be obedient, as he was obedient, and we must change our way of thinking. This is Mark the 9th chapter, in verse 42. In verse 43, it reads, and if thy hand offend thee, cut it off. It is better for thee to enter into life maimed than having two hands to go into hell, into the fire that never shall be quenched. Now, is the Mashiach telling us that we need to dismember ourselves? No, absolutely not. So what does he mean? He's saying you must bring your body into subjection. In other words, whatever causing you to sin, you need to stop. Otherwise, you'll be cast into the lake of fire. He says, and if thy foot offend thee, cut it off. In other words, whatever it is. He says, it is better for thee to enter into life than having 2 feet to be cast into hell, into the fire that never shall be quenched, where the worm dieth not and the fire is not quenched. And if thine eye offend thee, pluck it out. It is better for thee to enter into the kingdom of God with one eye than having 2 eyes to be cast into hell, where their worm dieth not and the fire is not quenched. Whatever is causing you to sin, and it is not the same for everybody. The liar may not have a problem with being a thief. The thief may not have a problem with adultery. The adulterer may not have a problem with idolatry. But guess what? We all have some problems. We all have that which causes us to sin. We all have these propensities, and we must bring them into subjection. Otherwise, hell will be your portion. That's what he's telling us. This is not him teaching that I came to die for you, and then you can do away with the law. He said, think not that I'm going to destroy the law or the prophets. I came not to destroy, but to fulfill. For verily I say unto you, one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law till all be fulfilled. He didn't come and die this horrific death because of sin, only for you to continue in sin. That is asinine to think that. This is the last place, Matthew the 5th chapter. This is a pressing way. Matthew the 7th chapter and verse 13. What does he tell us? He says, enter ye in at the straight gate, for wide is the gate, and broad is the way that leadeth to destruction, and many there be which go in thereat. What does this suggest unto us? This suggests that there is a standard. It's not just that you believe in him and then you don't change your way of living. No, you profess your belief, you are baptized in his name, and you walk in newness of life. Again, that was shown unto us with the deliverance of the children of Israel. He says, because straight is the gate and narrow is the way which leadeth unto life, and few there be that find it. You better get your act together. You better get your house in order, or hell will be your portion. I thank you for your time.